Hi, this is Nathan Oxenfeld with Integral Eyesight Improvement. And today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how to see without glasses. It might be kind of weird to see me with glasses because I have this whole channel about natural vision improvement and the Bates method. And I wrote a whole book called Give Up Your Glasses for Good. But these are not prescription glasses. These are my blue blocker glasses. So I'm wearing these today just sort of as a demonstration and a tool as I guide you through the process of learning how to see without these things. Because a lot of people watching either already have glasses or have told they need glasses. And so a big part of improving your vision naturally involves taking the glasses off. And unfortunately, that's when a lot of people make mistakes and they may do the wrong thing or they may go off track a little bit. So I do recommend that you read my whole book called Give Up Your Glasses for Good. It's essentially like a workbook, step-by-step guide of really explaining several hundred pages of different things you can do without your glasses. But I want to kind of summarize today a very short little practical guide of some physical things that I want you to be doing without your glasses. But I also wanted to touch on a little bit of a deeper topic today that we're going to get to at the end. So if you do have glasses on, I'm going to invite you to take them off for the duration of this video because there's nothing really to see. You don't have to worry. I'm going to keep the fire going. And that's actually our first thing to do to see without glasses is to relax. A lot of times the first thing people do when they take their glasses off is they'll strain. They'll get stressed out. There will be some physical strain, so probably some squinting going on, some muscles get engaged that shouldn't be engaged. Some other bad vision habits may come up, like some staring, but there's also probably some mental strain going on when you are facing the blur in your vision. But I want to point out that all of these tips I'm giving you today are designed to prevent blur adaptation. And that's kind of what happens when you go wrong with the Bates method or you go off track and you're not really getting improvements in your vision. You're just kind of getting used to having blurry vision. So maybe even today in this video with your glasses off, you're going to experience an improvement. That would be the goal, not to just be okay with the blur, but actually let's try a couple practical things with your glasses off to see if you can demonstrate some possibility that your vision is flexible and fluid. And relaxation is kind of the foundation of that. If you're stressing or straining, you're probably not going to notice that much change. If anything, it's just going to stay blurry or maybe even seem worse. So everything following this first tip, relaxation, is essentially an explanation of relaxation or some examples of what I mean when I say to relax. So aside from just basic relaxation with your glasses off, the next step is to close your eyes. So go ahead and close your eyes and keep your eyelids closed. And it's quite simple. We're just turning the vision off, right? We're just not even giving ourselves a chance to try and see something without our glasses. We're just taking it off the table. We're just saying, you know what? I'm going to take my glasses off. I'm going to take a break and just close my eyes. And honestly, you're welcome to keep your eyes closed as long as you'd like. But ultimately, this is just something that I really wish that you would do more often throughout the day. One of my vision students in Australia said that one of the favorite things that he got from working with me as a vision teacher was getting more comfortable closing his eyes more, even in public. Like he used to be very self-conscious about it, and now he just, whenever he needs that little break, he'll just close his eyes, sometimes even if he's in a conversation with someone. So just experiment and just see where you can close your eyes in your day. You know, maybe you're listening to a podcast or Maybe you're typing an email and you don't necessarily need to have your eyes open to see every single word coming up on the screen. Try typing with your eyes closed. And this, once again, this is sort of a distillation of my book. But at the very beginning of my book, I was trying to figure out, after writing all these pages about how to improve your vision naturally, I was like, how can I simplify this? So on page 26, there's this page called Simplification of Eye Training. And the biggest one, this is just a list of very, very simplified things, but this just says, just start by closing your eyes more. Closing your eyes rests your eyes. So technically, even if you didn't read the rest of the book or even do that much else practice, if you just close your eyes more than you do right now, your eyes are probably going to feel much better in the long run. You may even start to see better as well. But instead of keeping our eyes closed this whole time, let's go through a couple more different techniques and options. And the next one is going to be reverse blinking. So if your eyes are closed, and this is kind of classic Bates' method. This is from the very beginning of his book, Perfect Sight Without Glasses, or one of the original titles is The Cure of Imperfect Sight by Treatment Without Glasses. And there's a little foreword at the beginning of the book that explains this principle of reverse blinking. Sometimes he referred to it as flashing. So with your eyes closed, instead of keeping your eyes open to try and see something, you just lift your eyelids up for a fraction of a second and then close them again. It's almost like you're taking a little picture with your eyes. And so your eyes are primarily closed, but then when you feel like they are maybe a little bit more rested, then you can open them up and then close them back down in a very soft and gentle way. You're not trying to make anything happen or force any kind of seeing. You're just lifting your eyelids up and dropping them back down. Maybe there's 5 or 10 seconds in between each little flash that you take, and maybe you turn your head in a different direction so that you take a different picture each time. And maybe you take a picture of something up close. Maybe you take a picture of something in the distance. But the idea here is that you're not even really giving yourself enough time to strain. So it's a very short little opening and closing. And maybe if you can do that and stay relaxed, then you can kind of extend it and keep your eyes open a little bit longer each time. So I do have another video about this, and this whole topic of central fixation is going to come back up in a little bit. But to kind of keep it simple, I want you to either keep playing around with these reverse blinks, or we can move on to our next tip, which is just regular blinking. And a lot of times when people take their glasses off, they'll keep their eyes open and they won't blink. And so that's really this intentional blinking, maybe even some rapid blinking. So maybe you want to do some butterfly blinks where you blink rapidly and then you take a little break. Or maybe you're just aware of the fact that you're blinking every 2 or 3 or 4 seconds. And if you're working on screens, it's almost like you have to blink even more than normal, because sometimes screens will dry our eyes out. So the reverse blinking is a little bit more of a technique that you may even have noticed created a change in your vision. Like some people even get little clear flashes just from doing the flashing. And honestly, that's been one of my absolute favorite things about making these videos is reading the comments beneath the videos and people writing, "Oh my gosh, I just got a clear flash," or "I could see the screen more clearly," or "I got, something out the window came into focus." So remember, this is supposed to be happening right here, right now. The fluidity of your vision, the fact that when you take your glasses off, it's not just fixed and static. It's actually fluid, and it can get better and it can get worse. So some of these techniques are really designed to make it get better. With the next one being breathing, because a lot of times when we take our glasses off, it also takes our breath away. So we'll either get into some shallow breathing up in the upper chest, or a lot of my vision students actually report just holding their breath unconsciously. And so your eyes need a lot of oxygen. So does your brain. I mean, your eyes are extensions of your brain. So with your glasses off, with some nice relaxation and some nice blinking, now we're adding in this breathing. So just whatever feels good and rhythmic for you. I do like to point out that Dr. Bates found that the exhale tends to be more relaxing than the inhale when it comes to your eyes and your nervous system. So sometimes if you are like paying attention to the breath, I don't like to kind of overly control the breath, but if you're just observing it, maybe you can add a little bit of length to the exhale, or maybe kind of squeeze the abdominal breathing muscles in a little bit at the bottom of the exhale to really make sure you're taking a full breath. And then, not like sucking in a bunch of oxygen, but just letting that natural inhale come in and refill the lungs. And just for me, I really tried to kind of, when I think of deep breathing, I'm thinking a little bit more about where in my body as opposed to the volume of air, right? So it's more like sinking deeper down from the upper lungs to the lower lungs, or maybe down to the diaphragm, as opposed to kind of this shallow breathing. Now, the other element that may help you improve your vision and start seeing more clearly without your glasses is just time and patience. So honestly, part of what you're doing here of breathing and blinking and relaxing is just giving your eyes and your brain time to adjust from glasses to no glasses. And it's a transition. It's a process. Obviously, right when you go from prescription lenses to no glasses, it's going to seem like your vision just got worse. It's like a big dip down into the blur. But if you're patient with it and you breathe and you blink and you spend a few minutes like you are right now, things start to level back out and your brain starts to adjust, especially if you're not straining. So my next tip of how to see without glasses is actually to open up into your periphery, because these glasses create sort of a border or a boundary, right? So like anything through the lens might look sharper and clearer, but then when you drop off the edge of the lens, it's this real steep drop off into the blur. And then it's like you take the glasses off and now it seems like maybe one big blur. But the thing about the glasses is they kind of condition you into sort of over focusing in on this middle part, and then you end up maybe either tuning out or ignoring your own periphery, the stuff that goes out beyond the glasses. So without the glasses, even if you lose some of that central clarity, it doesn't mean that you can't open up your awareness out to the wider edges of your visual field. This is not about seeing details. This is not about seeing clarity. This is about you feeling the width and height, the whole size of your visual field. And just maybe notice that your peripheral vision seems bigger and wider, and maybe you're more kind of connected with it without your glasses than with them. Right? So that's one of the things that I kind of appreciated about Dr. Bates in his research, was kind of pointing out, a lot of times we focus on the good things that glasses give us, like better visual acuity when we need it. But Dr. Bates also made sure to include the other side of the story. What are some of the downsides? What are some of the downfalls and the negatives of glasses? And which one do we actually want to choose? Do we want to, take the glasses and take all those negative side effects, or do we want to explore the Bates method and achieve this natural vision without side effects? So, like I said, your periphery is not about seeing clarity or details. So maybe you can pay attention to something else, like what your peripheral vision is actually good at, which is seeing motion or movement. So I'm in my rocking chair here, which helps me sense motion in my peripheral vision. Like my central vision is looking at the camera right now, but my peripheral vision of the whole rest of the room, everything looks like it's moving because I'm moving. So you can try this yourself. If you're in a chair, you can either lean forward and back, or maybe you want to sway side to side or swing a little bit. And this is leading us into our next practice, which is the swinging, or just simply seeing motion, seeing things moving. And right now we're kind of starting in the periphery. So you may even want to move things in your periphery. Sometimes you can like wiggle your fingers or wave your hands, or maybe there already is something moving in your periphery, like something out the window, or if you're looking at something other than the screen and you're able to kind of continue to see me moving on the screen, even though you're not looking right at me, right? You're using your peripheral vision, not to see my facial expression, but to see me moving on the screen. Or like right now, I've been tracking the cars moving back and forth out the window behind the camera, right? So it's really just starting to use your vision in this new way that maybe you hadn't been with the glasses, because the glasses are really only all about that visual acuity. So as you continue to notice motion without glasses, oh, by the way, let's just take a quick break where you close again, because maybe you haven't closed your eyes in a little while. So remember that first tip, right? Just close your eyes more, just keep your eyelids down, let yourself kind of recenter, reground. Make sure you are feeling relaxed and you're not trying too hard, you're not straining, because that's not going to work. And as we prepare to open back up, once again, I want to invite you to kind of ignore visual acuity for a moment, which is the clarity or the details or the lack thereof if you have blurry vision. And I want you to pay attention to the other aspects of your vision, which include colors and shapes and depth, so distances, right? So whenever you feel like your eyes are excited to open back up and look for these three things, colors, shapes, and depth, and you're kind of putting visual acuity aside for a moment, that's not really the purpose right now. It's not really what we're focusing on. We're focusing on colors. So I open up and I see my dog on the couch. He's got this white fur, orange fur. Sometimes we call him creamsicle. The couch he's on is also a little orange. Got some nice orange and red and yellow flames in the fireplace there. You know, lights are really good things to practice with, because, you know, the fire's always moving. You know, it's an ever-changing form. You're not really trying too hard to focus or make out the clarity or the details. You're just relaxing your eyes into the fire. I think that's why it feels so good to just look at, or candle gaze. But even just artificial lights work too, just as long as you're not light sensitive, just looking towards the lights and the colors and the shapes, right? What shape is this? It's sort of triangular lampshade. And then maybe I want to look for any other triangles in the room. So there's another lampshade behind the camera there, sort of triangular. I guess the corner of the carpet, the rug, this fireplace edge. Triangles sometimes are a little more rare, so maybe you want to pick a square or a rectangle or a circle. Those are kind of the four basic shapes you can kind of be hunting around for in your world with your glasses off. Because even if you can't see the details, you can still see the shape, and you might still be able to tell what color it is. And maybe you can make a guess of the distance or the depth, because that's another thing that glasses really mess with your depth perception. They really flatten the world, prescription lenses. And so when you take them off, even though you might lose visual acuity, what you're gaining is depth perception. You actually have more of a true sense of depth without your glasses, partially because of what we talked about before, the context of your wider peripheral field. So, you know, look at something that's up close to you and guess how many inches or centimeters away it is. Look at something maybe mid-range and kind of estimate about approximately how far that is from you. And then maybe make a game out of it in terms of seeing what the farthest distance you can find right now, just from wherever you're sitting. So it might be something in your room, or ideally it could be something out a window. So looking down the street, several houses down, or great thing to look at would be the clouds in the sky, because those are really, really far away. And once again, it's not about can I see the details of the clouds, it's can I see the color and the shape and the depth, the distance, really feeling that there's this wide space between you and the distance. Now, I said to kind of ignore visual acuity, but maybe as you're keeping your mind busy with looking for shapes and colors and depth, these kind of other tasks, you might notice that a clear flash comes through and you do get details, you do get better visual acuity, but it was sort of an indirect way to make it happen. Instead of just like, I gotta see the clarity, I gotta see the details, you just took a little bit of a detour to be like, well, what else can I see? If I can't see the details right now, maybe I can notice the colors, the shapes, the depth. And in that process, some of the details and clarity likely will come through to you. And as you are searching around the world for colors and shapes and depths, the last little thing that I'm going to invite you to think about in order to see clearly without glasses is central fixation. This is the fundamental principle of the entire Bates method. I have several other videos and podcasts about the topic, so I'm not going to go super deep into it right now. But essentially, glasses are diffusing your focus. So they kind of trick you into thinking that everything through the lens seems kind of equally clear. So it kind of spreads your central vision out too wide and it bleeds into your peripheral field. And when I started the Bates method and I started taking my glasses off and attempting to improve my vision naturally, I was kind of going down the wrong track with it for a while because I was expecting to see the way that my glasses made me see, which was this wider, spread out, artificial way. And so I'm so grateful for my vision teacher, Dr. Jerry Ann Tabor, for really reorienting me and teaching me much more about the central fixation, which is the proper way to see without glasses. It's the way that people who don't need glasses see, but they're probably not that aware of it because it's just normal to them. But essentially, Dr. Bates defined central fixation as seeing best where you are looking, which also insinuates that you are seeing worse where you're not looking. So remember earlier I said when you're opening up into your periphery and you're expanding out into the wider areas of your visual field, it's not about seeing details. That would be diffusion. That would be wrong, right? If you're spreading out and trying to see a big, wide area all equally clear at once, not possible. Central fixation is possible, where you see best where you're looking or start to look at individual parts of that object and you shift around a lot more, right? Because usually diffusion equals staring. You're just kind of absorbing this wide, blurry image, versus central fixation having an actual point of focus that moves around and scans the world for you. So that is necessary to see without glasses, is central fixation and shifting. So if this is new to you, then I would encourage you to look at my other videos that go much deeper into central fixation. And also the Better Eyesight podcast is a really good resource for getting a lot of good information about central fixation because it's directly from Dr. Bates and his explanations, and then other vision teachers like me kind of explaining it and giving more examples. But all of what I just listed is kind of practical, right? This is about what you can be kind of physically and mentally doing with your glasses off. So, relaxing, blinking, breathing, swinging, shifting, central fixation. But I do want to finish up by just mentioning something that goes a little bit deeper that, I've thought a lot about this in terms of vision improvement in the Bates method is not just about taking your glasses off and then it works. Like, it's not about doing eye exercises. It's not that physical. It's mental and emotional and psychological. So when you first got glasses, your vision deteriorated for some reason. And maybe you were told it was genetic, or maybe you were told it was age related, which both very well could be the case. But I love the holistic approach to eye care and the Bates method approach, which also shines the light on the non-physical components and the functional aspect in terms of how your eyes, your brain, your nervous system probably responded to some stress, transition, trauma, or something that was a little overwhelming to the system. And it's pretty incredible that the human system can kind of manifest some blur or some vision issue as almost as a protection mechanism or a way to feel safer. And then maybe your parents or your teacher or your coworkers or yourself notice that you can't see something that you used to be able to see. And instead of actually kind of digging into that and asking why, we usually just get taken to the eye doctors, or we take ourselves to the eye doctors and we get our glasses. And then we can see again, and we can see that thing that we could see before that reason why, the blur came in the first place arose. And so it's almost like we get to ignore the root cause, right? We get to just put these on, get back to life, move on, and not really process or deal with what we need to. When I think about my experience, like, I had my glasses or my contacts in 24/7, right? I really didn't do anything at all with them. From the moment I woke up in the morning, contacts were in or glasses were on until I went to bed. And it really wasn't until I started the Bates method that I started to wait 15 minutes in the morning before putting the glasses on. Or I would spend a half an hour before bed without glasses. Or I would take an hour break with my glasses off in the middle of the day. And at first, it was kind of like, okay, what do I do? Like we covered in the first part of this video, like, all right, what do we do now? Like blink and breathe and shift and swing and learn all these things. But that can only occupy your mind so long. Eventually, you get confronted with the underlying root cause of the myopia or the presbyopia or the glaucoma or the cataracts or the macular degeneration or whatever it is. Something comes up and we've got an option. We can either not look at it, which is kind of what we did the first time, or we can look at it and we can process it and understand that that's a part of our vision healing journey, is taking these off as a surrender and saying, you know what, I'm going to slow down, right? Because glasses kind of speed us up. Dr. Ray Gottlieb always talks about glasses as tools of efficiency, right? They make us more efficient, more productive. And like I said, get back to life, get back to work, get back to school. You got to, but when you take the glasses off, things can kind of slow down and you have an opportunity to look within. That's kind of where we started, right? Close your eyes, because the answer's not outside, the answer's inside. And the glasses and the contacts are just trying to keep us on the outside. Look out there, look at this, look at that. And our senses are always going out. And so now with the glasses off, we can close the eyes and turn the senses inward, and we can look with our vision inside, in our brain, in our mind, in our memories, in our thoughts, in our habits, in our behaviors, in our personality traits, our identity. All of this stuff is connected to your vision and your eyesight. And so just giving some space and some time to let the eyes look within and just honor what they see in maybe sort of a neutral way, if possible. That's might be a big ask, especially if something is coming up right now that might be close to the root cause, or you feel the eyes wanting to express some sort of emotion, right? Because that's the alternative, or the other job of your eyes. It's not just to see the world out there, it's also to cry and to process emotions. That may not happen if we just leave the glasses on. And so that's, to me, the true power of this work is it gets us almost immediately in touch with ourselves, our true selves, our natural selves, not our artificial glasses selves, because that's someone else's vision that's been prescribed to you, right? To kind of correct you and make you more normal so that you see 20/20, so that you can, be a productive member of society. But what I'm inviting you to do is to connect with yourself and really start to ask yourself, well, what is my vision? Not the glasses vision or the contacts vision that's helped you in your life, I'm sure, and it's probably contributed to your identity and your personality, right? So it's some really interesting things can start to happen when you take your glasses off. And not only do you have the opportunity to look at the underlying root causes of the blur or the vision issues, but you also may start to re-identify and connect with these either new aspects or maybe old aspects from before you got glasses, and now they're reawakening. So on the surface, it can easily be mistaken that the Bates method is just either throwing your glasses away or just doing eye exercises to strengthen your eyesight. But like we went to today, it can really take us into some deeper places. And I think that's also why I resonated with the Bates method so much, because I had also recently done my yoga teacher training, and I was really excited about this whole path of yoga and this healing opportunity. And some of the teachings of yoga involve turning the senses inward for the purpose of things like meditation and relaxation. So it's like, wow, the Bates method like fits right in with that. And it's just makes sense why I call it sometimes yoga for the eyes, because it really is. It might on the surface seem like, oh yeah, yoga is doing stretches in a room with other people, but then you realize how much deeper it goes. So it's the same thing with the Bates method. And that being said, I have met people who didn't know about the Bates method. They just didn't wear their glasses and their vision did improve, or they just wore like reduced prescriptions over the time and their vision improved. So those are also possibilities, but for the most part, I've seen the majority of people, it's a little bit more, it takes a little more dedicated practice and study of the Bates method. So if you feel inclined to keep studying the Bates method, I would encourage you to keep exploring my YouTube channel and my podcasts, the Naked Eye podcast and the Better Eyesight podcast. If you're more of a visual or reading learner, once again, you can do a deep dive on my book, Give Up Your Glasses for Good, which you can get online on Amazon or through my website for the ebook version. And although this is the end of the video, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to put your glasses right back on unless you need to. But I will invite you to really implement some of the suggestions and strategies I made today to really, make sure that you are doing this correctly, so that you're not wasting your time and you're not making your vision worse, so that when you take your glasses off, you know exactly what to do in the right way to do it, so that you can start seeing better and better every day and decrease your dependency on the artificial glasses. Maybe you get to a point where your eye doctor approves you having lower glasses because your eyes are testing better. Or maybe you even get to the point where you give them up for good, meaning that you get your vision back to normal and the glasses are no longer needed. But even if you continue to wear your glasses just the same as you did before this video, you still have an opportunity to look within. No matter what your goals are with your eyesight, I really just think it's valuable to use this type of method to learn about ourselves. So please leave a comment if you did notice any kind of change, or maybe even a clear flash or an improvement, or if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. And if you like this video and subscribe to my channel, that just helps everything move along. So if you haven't done those already, please do that. And thank you so much for watching today. And I hope you have a lot of fun and relaxation while taking your glasses off.